Good morning. We are in Kings Canyon National Park, and we are at.
It was a rough drive in.
It was a very rough drive in.
Let's just start by talking about that. Don't talk about what's around us yet.
Okay, we drove for an hour and a half on roads that were so curvy I could not take one hand off the steering wheel to pick up my monster to take a drink.
So it's one thing if I get car sick. He has an iron stomach.
Nothing makes me sick. I was nauseous.
It was so bad. I think the GPS took us off the main road, but people live on the road that we drove in on.
We passed a bunch of ranches, a bunch of houses. We actually passed a school on this curvy road. I don't know how they get buses to it.
It was so bad. We're at 6,000 feet elevation. The entrance to Kings Canyon is underwhelming at best.
Yeah, it's very small, little tiny entrance sign. We actually missed it, so we didn't get a photo of it.
But we're walking around.
We're at Grant's Grove.
We're walking around the giant trees, which we can't see quite yet.
So we've got sequoias around us. We're on a little half-mile paved trail, which makes us very happy right now after yesterday's leg workout.
Which we're gonna get some more today.
This initial trail, we're doing a bunch of hiking today, but on this initial trail,
we're in flip-flops.
Yep, it's flip-flops.
That's not awkward.
Yeah, that's a terrible video there. I'll probably cut that out. So we're on the Grant Grove, which is a half-mile paved trail. And we're gonna
really
see.
Beautiful. I'm so glad that we got to enter on this side and see sequoias right away, because I wasn't sure if we'd see them today.
Right away. You heard her say we had an hour and a half drive.
Well, I mean, but right when we got into the park.
So, yeah.
And we're coming up on something else that looks pretty cool.
It's called the Fallen Giant.
Looks like you can walk inside this tree.
So let's go get in a tree. So we are inside the trunk of the tree.
Big step down?
Big step down.
Holy cow.
And here's another big tree. Wow.
And this is like, it takes you around to the other half.
Like, if you're not sure about how big this tree is, Michelle, you are how tall?
5'6".
5'6".
I can't reach.
And she cannot reach the underside of the trunk. Actually, I'm 6 foot tall and I'm still a foot short of reaching the top.
Might be able to.
I mean, we had to duck to get in. Ooh, that's a bigger step than I expected it to be. Not as big a step. So this is the General Grant tree. The General Grant is the third largest living tree. However, it does have the widest base of any known sequoia tree. The base is 40 feet around. It would take about 20 people with their arms stretched out holding hands to circle it. And it said the tree trunk itself, if it were hollowed out, would hold 150,000 basketballs. Useless information.
So we are coming to you from Kings Canyon Road. We are heading down into the canyon. You can see the road that we're heading down to, down there. These are the views along our drive today. We're headed to the end of the road, which is at, what, Cedar Grove?
Yes.
Cedar Grove.
And John Muir compared Kings Canyon to Yosemite Valley.
It's amazing. Somewhere over there on the other side is the road we're taking back. It's all gorgeous and a little nauseating.
right, welcome to Kings Canyon National Park officially, because we are here at the sign. There it is, which means we've made it. Now let's tell you what we had to do to get here.
Well, we already had a video that said there was not much of a sign on the way in. And that is because you're really entering into the Sequoia National Forest.
And a little block of Kings Canyon National Park that's down there.
Yeah.
But you're not in Kings Canyon. Now we're in Kings Canyon. We've been driving a grand total today of close to 3 hours, I think.
Driving a ways.
Like we drove an hour and a half to get into the park, and then we drove probably a good half hour or so into the forest. And now on this road, it's been almost an hour. Yeah,
it's been curvy, windy. If you get car sick, it's been nauseating.
It's an irpy drive.
It is breathtaking right now. To me, it reminds me of like several national parks in a row. Yeah,
there's moments of Zion. There's moments of the Grand Canyon.
There's moments of the Great Smoky Mountains. Yeah. And the river that runs through. I mean, there's so many parks that you're just like, wow, they threw them all into one and call it Kings Canyon. And I get it.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah. So yay for this drive.
Yeah.
Who knew? Knapp's Cabin. This was built in the 1920s as a base camp for some wealthy businessmen who would bring people up for fishing and hunting trips. Some tin cans. Don't know if those are vintage or not. Doubt it. Let's go out on the other side. So we are on a glacial moraine right now, which basically just means a big pile of rocks left here by the glacier. Probably a better view when this tree wasn't lying here. There's the river. So we are on the Roaring River Falls, which goes along Roaring River. And fortunately, right by the parking lot are the falls. So this is not a hike, although there are some trails here at this trailhead. We are gonna do a mile and a half or so up to Zumwalt Meadow. So, kind of see the layers of the cascade back there. Fall. There's some very dramatic signs about staying out of the river because people fall in and drown here annually. So we're going to get our feet wet in a place where it's a little safer, I think. So we did not end up hiking to Zumwalt Meadow on the river trail.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Michelle realized she had 2 really big blisters from yesterday's hiking.
Probably should have realized that when we could have treated them.
Probably, but we drove up to Road's End, and now we're making a little pit stop here at Zumwalt Meadow.
I think sometimes you just have to have that day where you're driving and you get to see like the vastness of a national park.
Yeah, we're kind of doing the auto tour version.
We rarely do that. So it's kind of a nice change of pace. Blisters not included.
But we did find a nice stop here to get down to a safe place on the river. So Michelle will treat her blisters with some ice cold water.
I mean, that's about all they're getting. I always make Brian go first. It's like one of those, you know, if you remember the Mikey commercials. Let Mikey try it. He'll try anything.
It looks surprisingly deep.
And when Brian doesn't try it, then I know. But look at how clear that water is. Even if we can't get in it, we know it's cold. So, I mean, it's just a matter of touching the water. You threw a rock in.
Threw a rock in. It looks kind of deep right here.
Maybe you should just sit in the mud. I always give him some task. Oh my gosh. Don't say bad words. We're on YouTube. How is it?
Cold.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my. Look at that guy. I'm gonna be right here enjoying, huh?
It's not needy.
Oh my gosh, I think he's gonna stand up, boys and girls.
It's pretty cold.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's cold.
Colder than Great Smoky Mountains water? Or the same?
About the same. I'd
Like
say
feels
this
like
water's probably about 60 degrees.
Feels like snow runoff kind of water?
Mountain water runoff.
Mountain water. All right, let me show you something up. Okay, so coming up here, so that right there is the Grand Centennial. I'll give Brian the phone for a lower vision. That is 8,518 feet. And we're at 4,000 feet right now.
So yeah, we're at 4,800 feet, I think it said. And actually the peak is kind of behind that tree, the tallest part of the peak. And I can't go further out in the river because there is a big drop off here. And I'm losing feeling in my toes.
I'll be right here.
But this is a beautiful river. Here's a better view of Grand Centennial Mountain, the actual peak. About 4,500 feet above us, at a total of 8,000 something.
So we said today is all about the drive. And Brian decided to take the side road on the GPS. Let me show you. Doesn't look like much. Looks like even less. The speed limit's 10, and the clearance, the vertical clearance is 9 feet. But look what's in front of us. Yes, that is a semi full of hay bales. Well, a truck. It's not as long as a semi. But, oh my gosh. We're getting ourselves into some predicaments today. And not the kind we normally get into.
My partner in mischief.
Are you having fun?
I'm enjoying the drive.
You're my accomplice in mischief, that's for sure. Like oh, begin one way. Your road is straight. Oh, jeez. Oh, Brian. Oh, Lord. Yep. We're on this road.
I'm in sport mode.
Alright, I'm gonna turn off the camera before I say bad words.
We found our picnic lunch spot. We picked up some food at the market. And here is our view. Uh-oh. There we go. That's Grizzly Bear Falls. I think they're taunting us. I'm pretty sure there are no grizzly bears in this park.
It's a beautiful water pump.
These old gas pumps are actually still working. 87 octane, 91 octane. 5 gallons is $24 for the 91. 5 gallons is $22.50 for the 87. America's oldest double gravity pumps, put in place in 1928. I don't think I've ever seen one of these working before. That's pretty cool. So our last stop for today is this little roadside memorial to John Muir. So tomorrow is our last day in California. We've been here for 2 full weeks. It is a sad day that we're going to be leaving here. But it's time to scratch off 4 national parks on our park map. We started out down at Malibu Beach as our base camp to visit Pinnacles National Park, where we saw dolphins, sea lions, and fish, and hiked and had a great time. And then we went up to Pinnacles, where we also did some amazing hiking and saw the California condors and learned what a pinnacle was.
Well, we actually stayed in a national park.
Yes.
We haven't been able to do that too much this trip because we knew going in we weren't set up for boondocking. That's in our long-term plan, but...
Then yesterday, Sequoia National Park with those 3 beautiful hikes that took us into the giant trees. And today, we drove and drove and drove and saw just about every drivable inch of Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Park, because we drove out back through Sequoia again. And that's leaving us with one sad California park that we have not yet managed to get up to, which is the Lassen Volcano, which is going to have to wait for another trip, because tomorrow we are leaving here and we are heading kind of down to Lake Mead. And we're going to spend a day at Lake Mead, and then we're working our way over to Canyonlands in southeastern Utah.
Where are we heading after that?
And then after Canyonlands, we've got Great Sand Dunes and Rocky Mountain. I'm not sure which order those are in.
Rocky Mountains first.
Rocky Mountain and then Great Sand Dunes. And then...
We may drive through the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, depending.
And then we've got this long trek through the cornfield.
And we're going out of our way for our friends in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
See Steve and Dana in Jonesboro.
We're driving 500 miles out of our way. That's love right there.
Right here, we're going to be fed a lot of squash. All right, so when you're out camping for a long time, people think you just eat hot dogs and s'mores for dinner every single night, but we eat a lot more than that. We have a lot of variety. And tonight in the campsite, it is pizza night. So I'm going to show you how to cook pizza at the campsite without heating up the RV by using the oven. So
what's the temperature outside, babe?
It's like 102 degrees the last time I checked. It's probably a little lower now because it's like 6:30 in the evening, so the temperature's starting to go down. So here's the first thing I did. Heat the grill up.
There's flames coming out of that grill.
So my grill goes up to 700, but it's showing hotter than that. I made my pizza crust. Get up here on the pizza crust.
Yeah.
So it's just a package mix. So I just made it according to the instructions. I sprayed some cooking spray on a grill mat, and it's on there. I've got the grill super, super hot. There's a little bit of oil down at the bottom, so it's kind of on fire. I'm turning the grill off, and I'm putting the pizza on there, and I'm just closing it up. So I basically have a really hot oven, no new fire. If you keep the flame on, you're gonna burn the bottom of the pizza. I just wanna make sure that this doesn't go below 300 degrees. If it goes below 300 degrees, it's gonna dry out, it's not gonna cook. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it. If it starts dropping down, I might turn it back up. It's so hot, the grill was over 100 degrees when I started. I've also got my air fryer going, so I'm gonna hit pause on my air fryer. By the way, when you plug the air fryer in, you can't plug it into the RV. You'll blow a fuse if the air conditioner's running.
I don't know how he knows that.
So on our pedestal, there's actually a 20 amp plug. So I run an extension cord from there, and I plug that in. I've got that going too. So now I'm gonna cut open a pound of sausage, because we're making a sausage pizza. And I'm just kind of getting that open. And I'm gonna take out my preheated air fryer container. I'm gonna put this in here. Just kind of dump it in. And
he loves cooking everything in the air fryer.
I do, because guess what? I'm not heating up the RV.
Absolutely.
When it's this hot, I don't want to do that.
Well, the RV's working really hard.
I've got, kind of just like a mush there. And the air fryer, I heated up to 400 degrees. I got it preheated. I'm just going to put this in and let it start to cook. And I'm going to just keep checking it and breaking it up, just like I would do if I was cooking it on the stove. And that pizza crust needs to cook for 20 minutes. I've got this on for 12 minutes right now. I'm going to check it again in about 4 minutes just to break it up. And every 2 or 3 minutes after that, I'll break it up. And I'll show you how we put the pizza together next. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. I want to show you how things are going. I just opened up the sausage and just kind of broke it up. It was kind of a little lump, but I broke it up and you can see how it's even browning.
Smell-o-vision.
And just stirred it all up and I'm putting it back in to continue browning.
Oh my gosh.
It's really done. I just want it a little bit more brown.
It smells so good.
If you were gonna do any veggies like mushrooms or onions, you could just throw those sliced up veggies in there too and let them kind of brown and saute and give you more flavor. The grill had already cooled off to about 300 degrees. So I opened it up, just picked this up, flipped it over, turned the grill back on low to get it reheated to cook the other side, and now that's going. And we're just gonna let that cook for a few more minutes. And we're about ready to make a pizza. All right, so the pizza's totally done. The crust is pre-baked. So remember I flipped it over? I'm just gonna flip it over one more time, back to the front because the top's a little prettier. And the first thing we need to do here is add some tomato sauce. I just bought some organic tomato sauce at the grocery store that I thought looked good. It's like a marinara. So I'm gonna pour some on, spread it around. If you wanted to get super fancy, you could use like some crushed tomatoes and add your own herbs and spices and stuff.
Which we often do that, but we had this jar. But
let's face it, spaghetti sauce is just easier. Now the next.
Tonight's about easy and keeping things cool.
Now the next thing I need on here is some cheese. So I've got some shredded mozzarella cheese. Again, you could use like the fancy stuff that you shred yourself.
Just like nachos, we like our pizza layered.
So I'm putting some cheese on here. And by the way, the grill is off completely right now. So just a little cheese. Don't judge. It might be a lot of cheese, but don't judge. Now, I've got my sausage all browned and broken up. And you can see it looks just delicious and it's nicely brown. I'm gonna use that same spoon.
Let's get in there and see that deliciousness.
Sprinkle that on. Again, any other toppings you want. If you want olives or mushrooms or onions or green peppers.
Tonight's simple,
pepperoni,
easy.
Whatever you want on your pizza, you put on your pizza. Because let's face it, pizza is a personal thing.
Tonight's about wine and a quick dinner.
Now, by the way, I'm not using an entire pound of sausage on this pizza. This leftover sausage, I'm gonna put in the freezer, and actually we're gonna use it a few nights from now to make a lasagna in the air fryer. So like,
don't worry,
crazy is that? Because like camping food, lasagna, like seriously.
Well, first of all, we brought an air fryer with us.
So that's done. Now I'm just gonna put a little more cheese on the top because nobody ever said there was too much cheese on that pizza.
I mean, seriously. I'd say work on the edges there.
This is just plain old mozzarella. If you wanted to use provolone or put a little Parmesan on there or some fun.
Sometimes we use lots of different cheeses.
Sometimes we use just like cheddar cheese or Mexi cheese or whatever we have because we ran out of Parmesan. So now that's all done. Now what I'm gonna do, restart the grill, put it on high, close the lid, let it get hot just to get everything melty and bubbly, and then pizza's done. So one thing you have to realize when you're making pizza on the grill is you're probably not going to get it to brown quite like you're used to with a pizza, getting it super bubbly and brown. But I just put it on a griddle that I have to bring it back in. I just slid it onto the griddle. And now I can just cut it right down the middle here. And, oops. Give it a couple of slices. You can hear maybe, whoops, that it is super crunchy. And yes, we do travel with our own pizza slicer. So I want a pizza. And you can see here.
Pizza is kind of a staple for us.
You can see the crust is nice and toasty on the bottom side because that's what I cooked first. It's ooey gooey and cheesy and delicious.
Oh, that was amazing.
And dinner is ready. Hey, by the way, you might notice here I've got some shrimp and some fish laying out because tomorrow night's dinner is ceviche. Because we don't camp like normal people. We eat some like serious food while we're out on the road.